Hello, good evening and welcome to Black History Talks Debate to 8 on the channel Speak Your Truth Youth. Forgive me, I'm just sorting out some bits. How you doing this evening? How is everybody? So today we are talking about how Jamaica got religion. And the reason why we're talking about it is because I think our last live, I wasn't here last week because I was ill. I'm not gonna lie, I had the vid, it knocked me out, it finished me off, but I'm much better now, thank you very much. And we decided from some of the comments that we had from that last live and some of the conversations that we had, that it might be nice to talk about Jamaica again and also talk about religion, because that's something that was brought up multiple times during some of our previous lives. So this is what we're doing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and add in Black History Inspires so we can start the conversation. Let us know what your truth is for today. Let us know what you've been up to. Let us know what you'd like to learn more about in terms of the title of the live, so to speak. Let us know. Let us know. Just going to listen to this tune. Actually, I should have put this up and pinned it. So this track is by Chronix. It's called Skanking Sweet. I do not own the rights. You have to put that disclaimer up in it. I do not, can't spell, I do not own. I've started already just laughing at myself. But yes, I'm going to put that up there and pin it. And we shall wait to see who everybody else is. Don't know what's going on. Let's hope that Black History Inspires is ready to join and we can start the conversation. So, what we're talking about now, religion. Oh, what is this? So, religion. We're talking about how Jamaica got religion, and we're talking about the different types of religions or religious movements that have been in Jamaica, and I know there's many. And yeah, I guess we're going to get a brief history of the different religions that have been introduced to Jamaica. I was doing a bit of research today, and I didn't realise that there's so many across the island. Now, considering it's such a small island, it's you know, the motto for Jamaica is out of many one people. Considering it's such a small island, it's got a lot of influence from all over the world, and we know part of the reason, well, we know what the main reason is for that, but they've really incorporated it into the culture, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I guess when we talk about Jamaican religion, the first thing we think about is Rasta, innit? Rasta, but that is not the only religion that is in Jamaica. It's not just Rasta, there's many, many more, and we're going to touch upon that today. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining. You see you. Take you so long. 3 minutes late.
Just 1 minute.
It was 3 minutes late.
I was on another call.
Is that what it was? You know what?
Yes,
I just spelled skanking wrong. I put scanning. Oh, God.
I was interviewed.
Interviewed for what?
For a live recording on Facebook.
Ooh.
Hey.
That sounds amazing.
And my book.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So who was it with? Can you tell us, or?
It's a guy from Jamaican, organized, partly to do with Jamaica's 60th.
Oh yeah, it's coming up, isn't it?
That's why I'm wearing my, you see?
Okay, yeah, all right. When's Jamaica's 60th anniversary for those people who don't know?
The 6th of August.
You're sure about that?
Yep, 6th of August. It was 60 years since Jamaica got independence.
Yes, and you know why I know it's the 6th of August? That I already knew, I was only being facetious. But the 6th of August, for me, is a really important date. One, because it's the Jamaican independence, but it's also the anniversary. It's the day I published my first poetry book, the 6th of August, 2020. Yeah, so I'm a bit gassed about that. Let me say hi to the folks who have joined. Hi, Danny. Thank you for joining. Hi, Michelle Medine. Wagwan. And hello to I Am Fitness Flow. Hello, thank you so much for joining. So what we're talking about today, I gave a bit of an intro, but there was nobody in the room, so I'm going to give an intro again.
What are we talking about?
We hold on. So welcome. to Speak Your Truth Youth, MCR. Welcome to our channel, to our debate at 8. Today we're going to be talking about how Jamaica got religion. Funky title, but we're going to delve deep into it. So I want people to stay in the live. I want people to share it with the friends. I want people to comment and let's have a conversation, because these lives are usually really, really lit and we get so much information from Black History Inspires. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The music that I was playing is Skanking Sweet by Chronics. And I think I played Chronics because one, they're one of my favourite artists, and two, because they represent the little island of Jamaica so well. And their religion is Rastafarianism. And I know we're going to touch on that today. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for today's live.
If I have enough time, I'll touch on it.
Yeah, because we've got loads to speak about. I didn't realise there was so much.
It's
I
a lot.
know. But before we start, as always, I'm going to ask you, what's your truth for today? You've probably already got something ready. If not, I'm going to ask people in the comments, what is your truth for today? You can pop it in the comments. What's your truth for today, people?
You want me to go for mine?
Yes, please. Tell me your truth. What is your truth? Truth for today. Go on.
If you never ask that important question,
Yes.
you never get that life-changing answer.
Okay. If you never ask that important question, you never get that laugh. I love it.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Is that something that you've been thinking?
No, it's more the fact that many of us are afraid to ask the important questions that could actually lead to that life-changing answer.
Oh, yeah.
We hold back, partly because of fear.
Yeah.
It could be because of many things, but fear is one of the main reasons why we don't do it. We don't want to speak up. Maybe we don't have the confidence to speak up.
Yes.
Maybe we just don't feel that we're assertive enough to actually ask that kind of question.
Okay.
But when you know yourself, you can ask those questions, and the sooner you ask the question, sometimes you'll get what you need. Sometimes the question cannot be asked at that point because there's a time for everything. There
is certainly a time for everything. I love that. Has anybody else got any truths that they'd like to put into the live for today? Let me see what people are saying. Oh, already. Precious 73 has joined. Thank you so much. Danny is saying, hi both. I can only be on for about 30 minutes tonight as I'm going out this evening. Ooh, where are you going? Who said you can't go out? Who's joking?
Yeah. Wow.
Can you write that in the chat? What am I writing in the chat?
What I think it's what I said.
Okay, so what did you say? Because I'm gonna try and write it now. You always put me on the spot, and you know I'm dyslexic, right? Go on.
If you never ask that
if you never, and I'm doing it Jamaican. If you never ask, yes,
that important question.
That important, yes.
You will never get.
Yes.
That life-changing answer.
Never get that.
I think that's.
I love it. You know why? Because today I was asking myself a very important question, because I knew it was going to change my life. That's all I'm going to say. And I kind of put it out there to the universe, and it's already gathering momentum. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is happening now. So, actually, yeah, it's deep.
It would be interesting to ask people. Actually, I'll tell you what might be useful.
Go on.
We could have a whole session on that question. On that.
Oh, we certainly could. We certainly could be here forever.
What question could they ask that could actually make a huge difference in their lives?
Yes, and it's something that we speak about when we are doing coaching as well. But I'm not going to I'm not going to talk any more about that. So Danny's going to see some jazz. I'm well jealous. I'm not pleased. Not pleased at all. Ugh. Are you going to Matt and Fred's at all, Danny? I'm on there. I just thought I'd let you know.
I wonder who he's going to see.
I know. Love a bit of jazz music.
Yeah.
Right then. So 10 minutes past. Let's just jump straight into it. What have you got for us, Black History Inspires? Because every week you come with these bombs. So give us some knowledge. Wagwan.
You want knowledge?
Why knowledge, man? Knowledge.
You sure?
Yes. Yeah,
sure?
I think.
It.
Yeah, I can handle it.
Okay. Right. So she tells me.
I try.
Yeah. We can
Go
only,
on.
aren't we?
We can only.
Currently
Mm,
in Jamaica,
mm.
most Jamaicans are Protestants.
Christians.
Yeah, Christian Protestants, as
Okay.
a Roman Catholics or something else.
Yeah.
Mainly Protestants. The largest denominations in Jamaica are the Seventh-day Adventists and
Okay.
Pentecostal churches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Seven-day Adventist and
Pentecostal churches.
yes, come through Pentecostal churches.
The large group. Then you've got the Church of God, like the Church of God of Prophecy, New Testament Church of God, in Jamaica. Yeah,
Didn't we used to go to the Church of God of Prophecy down it?
yeah. And then you've got
Ah,
the Baptist Church.
yes.
Up to now, you still haven't seen the Anglican Church, which is
Okay.
on way down, and so has the Roman Catholic Church.
Bloody hell,
Okay.
there's so many denominations. Anglican, Roman
Don't
Catholic.
forget the Luciferians come in there also.
So how
But,
how did I grow up? Did I grow up Protestant
yeah,
Baptist?
no, I think most of us grew up Protestant. Protestant is the same. Baptist is the same as Protestant, really.
I didn't know that, Every time I hear about Protestant, I think about the beef in, was it Ireland and England and Scotland?
No, that's Roman Catholic and the Church of Scotland and all of that.
All right. So was it the beef like between the Protestants and somebody else
Oh,
in English history?
always been arguments between
Oh,
the. Don't forget, Henry VIII
yeah.
moved away from Roman Catholicism
Mm-hmm.
and set up the Church of England because he wanted to divorce.
Yeah, and that created
That's
so much wars and so much trouble. That's part of the reason why the Bible was changed, didn't it?
That also has something to do with it, but the Bible has changed. James the First, the King James Bible came
So,
James the First deciding he wanted to change the Bible.
oh Lord, I tell you, man.
And
So,
also, when I say change the Bible, it was Roman Catholic before. All Bible Roman Catholic before that.
right. So wait a minute. Let me just read
So
out a couple of these comments. Danny is saying, I feel like asking that important question feeds into know thyself idea. Exactly. And know thyself comes directly from the Netta, what's the Egyptian text called? The Netta.
Netta. Oh,
It's gone out my head. But that one, it comes directly from the Egyptian science mystery schools. And then Precious 73 saying, me too, I've learned something new today. I didn't know that already, like less than 15 minutes in. You just blown my mind. But carry on, sorry.
I'm still trying to remember what it is. Netta something.
Me, I go find it. Let me just know.
On the mind at the moment. I know what it is. I can see the books and But
Go on.
So as I said, there was a smaller but significant number of churches, believers and practitioners in Jamaica also. But we're going to talk about some of the ones we may have heard about, but not even thought about.
Go on.
As well as the bigger ones. But it's how did it get into Jamaica in the first place?
That's what I was saying at the beginning of this live.
For that, it actually got in after the Taínos, because remember the Taínos were there first.
Yes.
So the Spanish, the first Europeans never came until the Spanish came in 1494.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you had were what you call Taíno religion, which was a spirituality-centered religion, the worship of Zemis.
Who?
Z-E-M-I-S. Zemis.
One more time. Z-E-M-I-S.
Yes.
Wow. Never heard of that. God.
Right. Azemi, Z-E-M-I, is a spirit or ancestor.
Wow.
Yes.
I never heard of this.
They were worshipping the ancestors as well.
Right. So spirituality. I love it. Okay.
Yep. The major Taino Zemis included Atabe, and their son, Yokahu.
You can't say them names.
Right. I'm not going to go into details with this because I might do this. I may do this as a separate one-off session at some point on Zoom.
Yeah, because you do courses on this. So yeah, that's fine.
Atabey was the zemi of the moon, fresh water, and fertility.
Oh, this is amazing. Let me just put this in Google. Let me say hello to the people who have just joined. We've got SJD 28,000. Thank you so much. Shea Heaven Limited. Thank you so much. And man like Dr. Stephen Bond. I don't know what the Precious 73 is laughing at. Are you laughing at my lack of knowledge? I did not know. What is Azemi?
Good afternoon, Dr. Bond.
Oh, wow. Let me just pop this in. So as a recap, let me just recap. We are talking about one of the original religions or spiritual systems that was in Jamaica before Christianity. And it was practiced by the, I can never say it.
People.
The who?
The Taino people.
Taino people. And that religion was called Zemis. And I've popped it in the chat.
Zemis. As I said, Zemi itself is a spirit or ancestor. So it's a bit complex. When I say complex, it's difficult for me to go through everything relating to their spirituality, because in reality, you're looking at a lot of words that I'm not able to pronounce properly.
That's okay.
And it goes into a lot of detail about the creation stories and all of that, which I would do as a separate thing rather than tonight. But I'm just mention a few more things, or else I'll never get onto anything else. The Tainos of the Dominican Republic, for instance, called her son Yokahu. And there's another name, Yokahu Baga Morakoti. I'm not going into all that.
First of all, I never knew that there were Taino Indians in Dominica. I thought they were just Jamaicans.
They were in the Bahamas, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and in Dominican Republic, and in some of the islands just before the Dominican Republic. This is when the Europeans came. That's where they found them.
So I know I don't want to cut you, but just for context, so the Tainos, some people call them Indians.
No,
Taino Indians. No,
it's the Europeans who call everybody on that side of the world Indians, because they were going to India, and Columbus thought it was in India. He calls us West Indians.
That's what that.
The American Indians, they call them Red Indians. They call the South Americans Indians. So everybody on that side of the world were called Indians.
So all this time, so where did the Taino people come from?
They came from South America. They came up the Orinoco River.
Yes.
Which is around Venezuela area now. Yeah.
Okay.
See? That's the history.
Okay.
All I say about this is that their religion was a very interesting one. The Zemi, for instance, there was a Zemi who was the spirit of the cassava.
Go on.
The Zemi, and it was the Taino main crop. And there was a Zemi who was a Zemi of the sea. There was a Zemi of hurricane winds. There was another who created floodwaters. So basically, in everything that they saw,
there was a god that represented it.
Exactly.
Or a deity, as you call it.
Yes.
I love it.
It was a spirit or ancestor.
Right. Okay. So it wasn't a deity. Right. Okay.
So everything, whether living or otherwise, has a spirit attached to it.
That's very similar to something else that I've heard, but I won't say anything. Okay, so let me just say hello to Nick Dennis. Let me say hello to Claire Ufert, GM, Wagwan, to Akoma Arts. Thank you so much for joining. To Bronte Lauren and to Arsenal #1. I like it. So we're talking about the Zemis religion or spiritual system of the Taino Indians in Jamaica around the 13th century at that point.
Just call them the Tainos, not Indians.
Yeah, I keep saying Indians. Tainos.
Tainos. And they're the same people as the Arawak, except that Arawak is a larger group of people, and the Taino is only one of those. The
Oh,
you've got the Lucanos, and you've got a whole range of different ones there. Caribs were another, but they're all part of the same Arawak language and culture.
yeah, because that's what it says here, Arawak/Taino. It says
Yeah,
polytheists.
yeah.
And I know that polytheism is about multiple, if you want to call it gods or deities. Is that right?
It is supposed to be that, but in some cases, you've got, take for instance, they said that about West Africa.
Mm.
And funnily enough, for instance, in Yoruba, they've got one God.
Yes, Olomade. I can never say the name. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
But the point is, the Europeans came in with the idea saying, because they've also got all these spirits and these orishas and all these things, then they're also gods. But in reality, they're similar to the Tainos. They represent certain things. So you've got the river god, you've got the god of the trees, you've got the god of the forest, but they're not as powerful as the
one,
who is the number one god and the creator.
So let me ask you something here that Danny's put in the comments. Danny is asking, what you're describing, is this similar to something called animism, which I was kind of touching upon, that everything has a spirit? Yeah.
The similarity, but as I said, I wouldn't, if I went through all of this now, you'll never know about the history of religion in Jamaica, because
we might have to do another line.
Part of it. And remember, when I talk about Black history, we're talking about history that affects us today. Our experience today. So we have to be careful we don't spend too much time on this. I think I spoke to Danny, and I think what we'll do, we'll have a couple of hours just looking at this, and invite the people on here maybe to a Zoom session.
Yeah, man, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Because it will take a long time just to go through it, and I need to show things, and you can't really do it on here.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. Just very quickly before you go on, throw some love hearts up the screen, please. And if anybody would like to be involved in a Zoom session where you speak specifically about this, then let us know, man, or send a DM to me, or send a DM to Black History Inspires. I'm getting involved. Yeah, I think it's yeah.
I've got two ways of doing this. Either I can do it this way,
yeah,
or I can give people links to where to find the information.
Where to find the information. I prefer this when you're getting bare love hearts off the screen.
But the problem with finding the information yourself, you don't get the background to everything else.
So yeah, exactly.
Give the background to all the other things, like various things.
And we don't get to speak to you. You are the font of knowledge. Sometimes it's good to be able to speak to somebody rather than read it in a book, because it doesn't bring it alive. But when you get to speak and interact and hear it from, a real historian, real historian, then it's different.
And finally, the final Zemi that I'm going to mention is the Zemi of the dead, the land of the dead. With Goyaba.
What was it called?
Is they still use the term Goyaba in Jamaica today.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
The term is still used. There are various places in, I've been to one of those places. It's in St. Anne, in Orchard, up the hill. There's a place called Goyaba. And there's a hotel by that name as well.
That's amazing. You see, it's these things that we don't know, and we don't recognize how that history is still impacting our history today, like you spoke about. Very quickly, I need to shout out Jamaican Promotions, Black Education UK, Zup, thank you, and Black Warrior Princess 52. Thank you so much for joining.
And then finally, as I said, there are also semis. Sometimes it can be spelt with a C as well, even though it's got a Z.
Yeah.
They are sometimes represented in other parts of the Caribbean by toads, turtles, fish, snakes, all sorts. The in Africa also did the same thing. Every single thing had a spirit in it.
The San
And
people in
so
Africa.
they get up in the morning, and whatever they see first would be the spirit of God to them.
That is amazing.
Because the way they look at it, if the creator created everything, then there's the creator in everything.
Yes, of course. Of course, I completely
Yeah.
believe that. I love that. That's a beautiful way to live life.
Anyway,
Wow.
let's just move on.
Okay.
The first what we'll call European religion, because you know that Christianity didn't start in Europe.
Yes, we know that. And before we go any further, people in the comments, where did Christianity start? If you've got ideas, pop it in the comments. Danny, you are excluded from this because you will know this.
Oh, that's not nice.
All right, Danny, you're not excluded, but just wait a second. People in the chat, where do you think Christianity started in the world?
You
Where
can't.
did it start?
You're not allowed to treat Danny that way when I'm around.
I know, but he's got too much information and too much knowledge.
I know, but he loves to spread the knowledge.
That's what it's about. I know. I'm so sorry, Danny. And we've got some right answers. Ethiopia from a Akoma Arts and SJD 28,000. Thank you.
Did they start in Ethiopia?
Mm-hmm.
Christianity actually started in the Levant, which is around where Israel is today.
What?
Don't forget remember what the name is Christian. You get Jesus Christ? Christian.
Oh,
So
Christian.
you're a follower of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, the true Christianity actually began with him, and then it spread outwards. And one of the first places that actually had Christianity itself was a place called Axum, which was in Ethiopia. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at it from the point of view, the first place to adopt Christianity, yeah, then you'd say that it's from there.
Okay, so Akoma Arts has said, huh? And then Danny Walters has said there are a lot of Christian concepts from ancient Egypt too, right? Yeah. And that's what I meant when I said know thyself, because that comes from the meta.
There are a lot of concepts. You can't say Christian because it comes originally, the terminology. If we're looking at terminology, Christian comes from Christ. So we have to stop there. But we know that if you go back to the 42 laws of Mahat.
Yes.
Those were taken out and given to the 10 Commandments, and then it followed on from there. And then if you look at Akhenaten, we can look at all that another time.
We certainly can, but can I just ask you to repeat that one more time? And hey, ZJ, thank you so much for joining. Just repeat that one more time.
What?
The 10 Commandments were taken from where?
No, what I'm saying is that originally, around 1300 BC, 1400 BC, there existed Akhenaten, who they say was really the first one God proponent.
Yes.
But before that, you had the ancient Egyptian deities, and one of them was called Mahat. And Mahat had the 42 laws of Mahat. I will not do certain, etc. I will not kill. I will not steal. All of those things were already there long before the 10 Commandments. And the 10 Commandments came about somewhere. Some people have said it was before, but somewhere around 1100 BC.
Okay.
So, maybe 12 to 1100. Mahat had existed long before that, 1,000 years before that, if not. Yeah.
Wow. We've got some interesting comments. Black Education UK, based on teachings of Jesus of Nazareth in Israel, and SJD 28,000 is saying Christianity is plagiarism from Egypt.
Well, funny thing about it, most religions come out of another religion. Take, for instance, Islam.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
see.
completely agree. They call it the Abrahamic religions, innit?
Yeah, yeah,
Islam, Christianity, and
yeah.
Judaism. But
Islam.
we're moving on to a different topic now. Let's get back to
Anyway,
Jamaica.
can I just start looking at Roman Catholicism in Jamaica?
Yep, yep.
We don't have a lot of time. Christianity was introduced by Spanish settlers who arrived in Jamaica in 1509. Some say 1503, some say 1504. I'm going with 1509 because I've seen more people have said that.
Okay.
Okay? But
Okay.
that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct.
Okay.
Okay? I wasn't there, so I don't know.
You sure you weren't there?
Roman Catholicism was the first Christian denomination to be established in Jamaica.
Right.
Because remember, the Spanish had Jamaica from the 1500s right through to 1655. The first Christian church was built in St. Anne's Bay.
Is it?
Which is where Columbus landed, remember?
Okay.
And was completed in 1526.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So it's almost 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. From 96.
A monastery was then set up by the request of the Spanish king in an effort to convert the Taínos. Remember, they had their own religion.
I know.
But it was in an effort. Remember why the Spanish went. It was in this order: gold, glory, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they couldn't get any gold or glory, they brought God.
Yep.
Yep. So they wanted to convert the Taínos, but this failed. Why do you think it failed?
Because the Taínos fought back?
That was part of it, but what else happened to the Taínos?
Oh, yeah, they got killed.
Yeah, diseases.
Yeah.
Created major problems, and many of them died as a result of the diseases introduced by the Europeans.
Yeah, because they didn't have any immunity to it because they'd never had that disease before.
That was the first Christianity to go into Jamaica, first religion, European religion, or any form of religion other than the Taínos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then got the Church of England, 1655.
Okay.
And then kicked out the Roman Catholics. So the Church of England then became the main church,
right.
Which is different from the Roman Catholics, other than divorce. In some cases.
Is that it?
It's not that different. It was Henry VIII who wanted to divorce, and in the Roman Catholic Church they wouldn't allow it.
What? It's true, you know.
So he got his divorce. Remember how many wives he had?
So basically what you're saying is man came up with a whole brand new religion just so he could divorce his wife.
Well, it wasn't a new religion, really. It was just
you know what I mean? And called it something else.
Of providing that religion.
Yo, that's deep. Imagine having that power. But listen, let me say hello to some folks who have joined. We have got DFL, Diflocorish. Have I said that right? Thank you for joining. And Natasha Anand, thank you for joining. So, do you know these people? You're looking like you know us, Maddie.
That's DF Licorice.
Who?
Licorice.
If you can pronounce that, good on you.
No, I think DF Licorice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's good. Anyway, next thing we look at.
Go on.
The European religion, what is classed as the English religion came in. However, when they started bringing Africans into Jamaica, they brought their religion as well.
Yes.
And what did they bring?
Everything. Bare stuff.
Obia was the main one.
Oh, okay.
And Obia is a system of spiritual healing, justice-making practices developed among enslaved West Africans in the Caribbean.
One more time, it's a what?
Sorry?
It's the first, one more time, it's a practice of?
It's a practice of healing, spiritual healing and justice-making.
spiritual healing and justice making.
Yeah.
All right. Go on.
And when I say it was developed among West Africans, it was already in West Africa before it came to the Caribbean, but it was then sort of diluted.
When it came to the Caribbean. So I wanted to ask, do we know what it was called? Was it still called Obia in West Africa?
They said, some people have said it was called Obi, some Obia, it could Oba. There's a whole range of different.
Obi sounds quite
people
close to what it could be, because that's a Nigerian name.
Yeah, Oba is a term of respect, you see, so it wouldn't be Oba. But it could be
OBI.
Sorry?
OBI, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it could be. But as I said, that's not we're not here to deal with the linguistics.
True. Shea Heaven Limited is saying, so it was good then, because a lot of people call it bad.
That's exactly the point. It was when it came originally.
When it did come.
Yeah, but then Obia is difficult to define, as it's not a single unified set of practices. Remember, many different people came from different parts of Africa, and they all got lumped into one in the Caribbean.
True.
Brought their different religious practices, and they saw,
Yeah.
What's this? And anyway.
But before you go any further, listen, Empress of Kemet 8, why are you gassing my life? This is what she does. Sister, why you and Pappy look so radiant this evening, just like the beautiful plants in the background. Sorry, it's been so long. Love you both. Love these talks.
The same side.
I know. Why did you have to copy?
I think I'll have to put a picture up or something next.
Yes.
Yeah. So as I say, Obia also came to refer to physical objects, such as a talisman or a charm.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
And it was used, that was used for evil magical purposes.
So basically what you're saying, it wasn't the actual it was the person who was practicing it that could turn it good or bad. It wasn't the actual.
That's the other thing. When people got to the Caribbean, Africa, you go through a process of initiation.
What do you mean?
Into a spiritual practice. You had to be initiated. You had to learn at the feet of the person who is the main person practicing it. Just like you do the same at university, you learn at the feet of a professor, and eventually you pass. You get your degree. Now, if the person teaching you is not in that position, because let's say no professors were brought to the Caribbean, none of I can't call them a professor. What would you call the
scholars, teachers, educators?
Yeah, the spiritual master who initiate you. If you can't be initiated, then people are going to start messing around with it and initiate themselves and say, I'm an Obia man.
And just texting for you can just do whatever.
Right, and here's the problem.
Oh.
Unless you're initiated properly into it, and this comes from an African who's written about this.
Okay.
Unless you actually are properly initiated into it, you cannot make that connection with
the higher self
and the spiritual. And if you don't make that connection, it becomes an evil practice rather than a practice for good.
What? That makes so much sense. But do you know what? It's basically everything in life. If you don't know the root of it and what you're doing, and if you don't get shown the right way, and you just go along and just pick up anything and do what you want to do based on what you think you know.
Yep.
Whee.
So it's based on what? It's not based on their connection with the spirits. There's a lot of theirs were now based on their own personal
their own personal selfishness, their own ego, their own mind sometimes.
So anyway, Nanny of the Maroons was one of those who actually was able to use a form of, it said that she used obeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. By the way, it mainly came from the Congo, it is said. Some said it came from the Akan,
I've
but
heard that.
it was a mix because Nani was from the Akans, and so was Taki when he had his rebellion in 1760. So Nani of the Maroons, Queen Nani of the Maroons, used it, and they called her a witch.
And she wasn't. What she was doing is
The Europeans called her a witch.
she was tapping into those universal type of, boy. Listen, Empress Kama 8 is saying, is this similar to some of the practices in New Orleans? And thank you to Webley Ra for joining, and thank you to Ice Benoin. Thank you for joining.
Yeah,
So
it is because you've got voodoo, which is
voodoo.
It's not there. There's no such thing as voodoo. That's the European version.
Exactly, it's called voodoo.
And it also, you've got Santeria or Santeria, which is mainly in South America, which is similar. But as I said, all of this came from Africa originally, and it was people wanting to practice their own spirituality, their own religion. But yet the Europeans, they came into conflict with the Europeans who didn't like what they were practicing. They did the same in Africa. They went into Africa and brought up Roman Catholicism and Protestantism into Africa. And so now a lot of Africa are practicing something which is really alien to them.
Listen, we've just got a comment here from Shea Heaven Limited. It's like Christianity. Some church leaders interpret the scriptures their way. Yeah. Listen, I'm sure that people who have got Instagram, TikTok, or even Facebook have seen some of the crazy videos that have been circulating about some of the practices in certain African churches, some of the things that they're doing and they're making the parishioners do. And it's not based on anything spiritual, you know, it's based upon that pastor, that church leader's own ego and selfishness. Like, I mean, grass like cow, you know.
Yeah.
Things like that making them do. Jesus.
Anyway, let's continue. Then the Europeans created laws.
Right.
They didn't obeah, which reflected their fears. They were afraid of obeah, so they created laws.
Yes.
Now, they're not going to create laws against something if it's not working. So they created laws to restrict the practice, and the obeah law, it started out in 1818 in Barbados, for instance.
I did not know this, and listen to this. Wait 1 minute. Weblera has put, is it law spelled L-O-R or law spelled L-A-W? And that is deep.
Say that again.
See the comment that Weblera has put down. I know where he's going with this. Is it law spelled L-O-R-E or law spelled L-A-W?
Well, law is a form of practice, isn't it? But law can be practiced as well. Anyway, let's look at, so as I said, they forbade the possession of any poison or noxious or destructive substance. Actually, to tell you the truth, the same thing is happening today, isn't it?
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying a word because.
So let's move on. Let's move on to missionaries. European Protestant missionaries brought an evangelical Christianity to Jamaica, which included evangelizing, preaching, instruction, and observable response in word, moral behavior, which was the biggest one, and church adherence.
Okay.
Because church adherence is not something that is real, you know. If you look at the New Testament and you look at Jesus Christ, he never told anybody to adhere to a church. He said, you keep going to a cupboard and pray by yourself. You don't even have to do it outside.
Listen, you're going into some dangerous water, you know.
Listen, I'm just saying.
It's true. I believe you.
Anyway,
I know.
And that's, you know, I'm just looking at it from that point.
Okay.
Also brought ideas about abolition of slavery. Some of the missionary churches that led the struggle for the abolition of slavery were the Moravians.
Oh, I've heard of these. How do you
Mora-
spell Moravians?
Moravians,
M-O-R-A.
Moravians, or the Moravian Church.
Okay.
The others that came were the Baptists,
Yes.
the Methodists, and the Presbyterians.
Yes.
Missionaries were identified with enslaved people. So a lot. Remember, we're talking about missionaries now, as opposed to the Church of England or the Roman Church.
What's the difference?
Because the Church of England didn't have missionaries.
So what is a missionary? Somebody who goes out to spread the gospel.
What has now happened? Remember, many groups went against the Church of England and set up their own organizations, like the Baptists, like the Methodists, like the Presbyterians, that went against. That's why the Scots had problems with England.
That's what I was talking about before.
The Scots had the Presbyterians, which is different from the Church of England. You see, so this is
what I'm saying.
Amen. Because the Church of England had only one way of doing things. And you know what that is. We don't have to go into all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, we can't go into all that.
Yes.
Missionaries were identified with enslaved people. So basically, the plantation owners didn't like the missionaries coming in. Because many of them, the Moravians, for instance, did not come into the plantations. They were outside of the plantations and they were ministering to enslaved people. They didn't like that because they also were teaching them to read and write.
We know they didn't want folks to read.
So they did not like what was going on because they wanted to make money and they wanted to keep the slave system.
Now, you see, Webley said clubs and societies to be tax exempt. Yep. Shay Heaven Limited has said deep discussion. And I'm just going to say part of the work that I do as a professional youth worker is letting every young person I know, but particularly black and brown young people, read on our books, learn through read. Right. All your big words, because this 200 years ago, you wouldn't be allowed to do. Read on our books and get your knowledge and learn how to read.
The plantation owners believe that if the black people could read and write, they would cause a whole lot of problems for them because they will see really who they are.
Yes.
And the lies that they're telling them.
Oh, yeah.
That had this thing they call the slave Bible, where they took out everything that relates to freedom or whatever and gave it to the enslaved people. So the few that could read, that's all they could read. And unless they could get their hand on the real Bible.
Right. So knowledge makes a person unfit to be a slave. I think it was Frantz Fanon who said that, Webley. Tell me if I'm right. But it's true. And I've put in their slave Bible. When you get a chance, folks, I need you to research that.
Yep.
All right.
So the missionaries tried to transform society and help the enslaved people, but they ultimately failed because they did not attempt to understand African culture.
Wow. Well, ain't that the way?
You see? If you don't understand African culture, you can't understand the people.
Right.
Their roots, that's where they're coming from.
I was just in a meeting today where they were talking about black-led organisations in Manchester being given the autonomy to lead their own activities and being given their own, being given funding without being treated as a homogenous group of people who don't have their own cultures, values and nuances. And the discussion was that you need to be able to understand the culture. And if you don't understand the culture, you're not going to make it. And that's why things keep falling down.
That's it. And because they didn't understand the culture, they did not tolerate the local culture. In other words, they basically says you've got to, even though they wanted to help the enslaved people, because they didn't understand the culture, they did not tolerate their practices.
My God, Empress Kemet 8 said, "War." And Shay Heavy Limited saying it's still going on today. Misinformation. Oh, yeah.
So the Moravian Church started with their arrival was 1754.
Where did they
That's
come from?
when people were starting to come in now.
Where did the Moravians come from?
They came from England.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still around today. There are Moravian churches in Jamaica still today.
Didn't know this.
It's sort of similar to the Quakers, but I don't think they're the same as the Quakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They on the coast of St. Elizabeth, not St. Anne this time.
Right.
And they remain mostly in the rural areas to serve the large slave population. There were 43 schools teaching 1,728 boys and 1,280 girls.
Right, so teaching. So Webley is asking, what year did the Moravians come again, please?
1754.
1754. All right.
And from the end of the 19th century, native Jamaicans began to be accepted into leadership positions in the church. And in 1961, S.U. Hastings was consecrated as the first Jamaican bishop of the Moravian Church.
In 1961?
Way until 1961 before they let go.
60 years ago?
That's exactly 61 years they let go. But this is the point, you see, they don't like to let go. Because there are many churches now we think are black, they're not black. They're run by white people. Hey, but anyway, how about the Baptists? What did the Baptists do? Well, guess what? In 1783, a guy called George Leal, L-I-L-E, I think that's how it's pronounced. He was a freed African who was once enslaved in the United States or in Africa. He introduced the Baptist denomination to Jamaica. He was a black man to introduce it, not Englishman.
I never know, because when you think about Baptist church, you think about proper like singing, dancing, choir, people in the spirit. Yeah. It's just a vibe, basically.
It did exist in England, but he also existed in America. But he brought the Baptist churches, the idea of the Baptist church in 1783.
Okay.
1783, that's a long time ago.
A long time.
Yeah. And he introduced it to Jamaica, and he became the first African American to be ordained within the Baptist church. And he later pastored both black and white Christians in the American South.
Amazing.
Yeah. And he became the first unofficial missionary to Jamaica. People of all ethnicity came to hear him. He pioneered Baptist tradition in Jamaica, establishing the first Baptist church, the Ethiopian Baptist Church. Church membership of over 450 enslaved Africans in 1791.
That's
you get
big.
50 enslaved Africans were in the Baptist Church, and 3,000 by 1806.
I'm surprised they allowed it.
So you can imagine the plantation owners were happy.
Vexed.
No, they were happy. At the forefront of standing up for the truth of the gospel in pre-emancipation Jamaica. He then died in 1828, which is 6 years before slavery was abolished.
What?
Now, listen to this. He influenced Sam Sharp.
Bombast, Biff. I love it.
He influenced Sam Sharp.
I love it.
Baptist involved in the 1831 Baptist Wars.
Wow.
So this is where the Baptist War came from.
Yeah.
And then his work was taken over by some other guys who continued his work and then established the then largest mainline Christian denomination in Jamaica, maybe even domination. Baptist Church. So that's how the Baptist church came in.
So you've got bare love hearts going up the screen because you've just blown a couple people's minds. I just want to say hello to Be Empowered 82. Thank you so much for joining. Hello to Stephanie 4501. Is this who I think it is? Thank you for joining. Hello to Derek and Trobus. I think I've said your name right. And Dr. Stephen Bond said, wow. I love it.
He was met with lots of opposition and established groups such as the State Church and the Church of England, and obviously the Church of England. Laws were passed to restrict Black Baptist leaders from preaching and teaching enslaved people how to read and write, as well as from having gatherings, because authorities believed these kinds of activities could lead to riots and revolts. Europeans began to bring their religion to the enslaved in Jamaica, starting in the 18th century. They wanted to challenge Spanish monopoly and influence Catholicism. But as I said, the English believed they also had the moral responsibility to spread their religion in the colonies.
Who gave them the authorization? Sorry, who gave them the authorization? Who tell them to spread them religion?
This is it.
We give the French.
So what about slavery? What about slavery and Protestantism? How did that work?
I don't know.
Well, it said by the end of the 19th century, more than half the enslaved population had adopted Christianity. That's before the end of the 19th century.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was a need for enslaved Africans to make sense of their lives on the plantation.
Right.
And religion offered that to them.
Right. So that's why they embraced it so much then.
That's it. Because they wanted to find something that would make sense. You know, think about it. You're enslaved. Your father and mother were enslaved. Your grandfather and mother were enslaved. Think about it. You start thinking, hey, wait a minute, what's the purpose of my life? I've got a brain. I'm not allowed to read and write. I'm not allowed to do anything. All I have to do is work there for these people, and sooner or later I'm going to die.
So you may as well make the most of it, innit?
This is it. That's how they were feeling at the time. Yeah. Missionaries wanted to transform. Slavery was a main factor attracting missionaries to Jamaica, and missionaries wanted to transform slave society to improve social conditions. But as I said before, they wanted to improve social conditions, but they did not understand their
culture.
Their own culture.
Webley Wright, first of all, hi Sister Cam, and you know what? I'm glad you came here, because all of this time, for some reason, how could I not know that I was on my personal account? But it's all right, because everybody who is in this account, I know. And secondly, Webley Wright is saying the same ideology was given to the eunuchs. They gave them Hermetism, the Venice Christians, literally just like that, what you said, the Medici family. I've heard of them. You've got some knowledge, Webley Wright. Thank you.
He's going into deeper stuff than I.
Deeper stuff, man. You might have to, you know what, Webley? When you're ready, do your live and people will jump in, because some of the stuff you're talking, you know.
So, as I said, the Protestant missionaries wanted to integrate Christianity with slavery. How do you do that?
Can't.
You know, planters did not want their slaves converted to Christianity. And it threatened the social order of things.
I bet it did.
Yeah. Okay.